When I first saw movement mentors and stuff, I was pretty irritated. I hated it.
I didn't have the confidence to close a sale.
I will admit I had to push aside my own pride. If we didn't see things turn around within a certain point, that I was gonna reach out to you guys.
After the sales training, first day, I locked down 2 clients. This is just a life skill to have. I'm so excited. Like seriously, sorry that was a little loud. All right, we are here at Apex Denver in Colorado, here with the gym owners and our fabulous salesperson that we'll introduce in a second. I'm Jimmy Davidson with Motion Mentors.
And I'm Christopher Hollingsworth, also with Motion Mentors.
And yeah, I mean, we came out to this gym. These guys put their trust in us, hired us to just help get their gym to the next level. And we wanted to jump in with what has been happening, why did you guys hire us? What did we come out and actually do? And then, how you guys are left feeling. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about in this episode. So if you're listening, you're going to get specifically, how did we help these guys? What did we specifically do? What results are we all hoping for? And yeah, so if that is interesting to you, keep on listening. I think this will be very good for Parkour gym owners, Parkour gym managers, anyone who's interested in sales, marketing, kind of operational organization. Leadership is a big one. Okay, let's jump into it. You guys, introduce yourselves. Let us know how you got into this business, because you guys are not the original owners. So give our audience a bit of context on that. And tell us the story of what was happening up until the point you guys, let's say maybe started following and doing some of the things that we had been publishing, because there was a period of time where you guys were sort of watching from afar and implementing some things up to that point. And then later past that, we'll talk about when we actually came in.
Yeah, I am Autumn Goodrich. I'm one of the owners of Apex Denver, and Rob and I came on in 2019, right before the pandemic. We had some really strong plans in place for growth and what we were going to do with the space. And of course, that was derailed by the pandemic. At that point in time, for a couple of years, it was just survival. So very grassroots. We just throwing mud at the wall and just doing whatever we had to do and see what would stick just to keep us afloat. So we're obviously still here. So the work that we did at that point in time has been fruitful. However, I would say probably within the last couple of years, just things were not operating very efficiently. And I found Rob and I were in mode of just putting out fires all the time. So that pulled us away from really being able to focus on our constraints and the things that we needed to fix. So I had given myself a deadline that if we didn't see things turn around within a certain point, that I was going to reach out to you guys for guidance, because I felt like we were close, but we're missing pieces of the puzzle.
So my name's Rob Scheel. I'm from Apex Denver. I'm one of the owners here. Same as Autumn had mentioned, we had bought in around 2019. Some of the spaces in Colorado were starting to kind of change for the community. And so we were trying to figure out how we wanted to keep the gym alive, keep that space moving forwards. And then, as we all know, COVID kind of came in, and then that kind of shifted a lot of the ways that we were running classes, a lot of the ways our structure was being run. We sold rubber mats to help us stay afloat for quite a bit, just restructuring a lot of things. When I had bought in, there was already previously the Apex, the whole known brand of Apex. And so stepping into those shoes was kind of it was a lot for me, trying to understand how to run the business, not just as having been a coach the whole time, knowing how to I understand parkour. I understand that very well, but I would say the business side of things was all very new to me. My degree was at a minor in business, and that only has so much weight that was actually able to carry into a space like this. So yeah, I think that after COVID kind of hit, it was kind of just a mad scramble of figuring out what things would stick, how things would work. And so we were following Jimmy and you guys during that time period as well. So I saw you guys doing Motion Mentors. So as you guys started to pick up, I definitely was following, but I was still kind of in this side of, I feel there's this hesitancy to having mentorship or requesting for help, or kind of those other guys on the other side that if they're doing it right, then well, we can like do it right too, and like we'll try to figure it out on our own. And then it is just like this sense that's a little bit of like resistance between reaching out for help, I feel like, in the community. And so for me, the last few years was us trying to figure these things out. We had reached out to many different gym business owners to kind of see like, hey, what kind of things are you guys doing that work? So we had like a lot of different pieces and ideas and things that were floating around that I believe would have brought us to a direction eventually. But because of the state of the gym, because we're coming out of COVID, because we essentially had a timeline of making sure the business turns around and make sure we're in a spot where we can stay here, that timeline was like starting to get a little bit shorter and a little bit shorter. And so us actually trying to reach out, step out of our comfort zone, get some help was probably the biggest piece for us.
Okay, so you guys had a deadline. There was a line in the sand at which if you had it figured out by then, great. If not, you knew you were going to reach out and help. You did hit that point, apparently. You did reach out to us. And our whole package was really centered around, I would say the main categories were clarifying your leadership roles, which we did first with Christopher. So let's start there, hand it over to Christopher, and really give us like, what was the current state of things? And maybe you guys want to describe what the current state of things were. And then, Chris, what did you do? And how was that all helpful?
Yeah, I'll totally pass the mic off to y'all in just a moment with this. But when I came across Apex, when Apex came to us to work with us initially, they were in a similar state that many parkour gyms find themselves in. And you're either on one side of the fence with your leadership, your documentation, and your systems. You're either on the side of the fence where you have absolutely nothing, and most of your leadership is inside of the people that's in the business, the people that are passionate and running it, and they have all of that institutional knowledge and culture lives in them. Then there's the opposite side of the spectrum where a business has been around for a decade or more, and there's just an abyss of documentations with so many different versions, and no one knows where anything's located. And you were in one of those baskets. So I would love for you to share about just where your documentation was, where your systems were, what that was like for you, and how that contributed to you kind of the scrambling and like putting out fires constantly. And now that you have some documentation, you have some systems, especially around your leadership, what difference that's already begun to make for you and what you see that doing for yourselves moving forwards.
Sure. All right. So as Rob had mentioned, being part of the Apex brand, we used to have a headquarters that would provide all of the paperwork and documentation and guidance as far as everything that we would do. Unfortunately, there was the Apex gym that was the headquarters that took a really heavy hit during COVID. So everything there was rocky for a time. And eventually that particular, I believe, I don't have all the information, but that business had dissolved to a point. So with that dissolution, we lost all of our documentation. I no longer had access to it. Just anything that we could use for reference for guidance. Moving forward. So we found ourselves in kind of like a space of like floating. It's like everything was up here. We knew exactly what kind of we needed to do, but we were kind of like, I think it's rebuilding and somewhat like in each other's way. Like, do I do this? Do you do that? Do we both do this? Like, how does this all work? Yeah. So, but again, with us being so focused on putting out fires, it was like, okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to our document. We'll redo it. We'll work on it, whatever. But it just wouldn't come about. And here we are. It's really nice to have mentorship because you can focus specifically like, hey, this is what you need. Here it is. We now have a chart and a list in our employee break room. So our staff, they have a clear picture of who do they go to for what, and just who can help them. Because that was a point of frustration for our staff, which we understood, and we knew we had to correct that for them so they can have a better work experience as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so I really hear both the situation that you were in, having access to a lot of policies and documentation, suddenly losing all of that access and having to be the person that just is doing that job, while also trying to toe the line of not stepping on other people's accountabilities or getting other people's way, but still ensuring that the work has to get done. And I can also hear, now that we've begun the work of really identifying what is it that you do? What hat do you actually wear in the business? What do you do? What do you wear in the business? That's also, not only has that provided you some peace of mind walking in, knowing exactly which aspects of the business are yours to focus on, but also providing that clarity for your staff so that your staff knows, oh, if I have an issue, this is who I escalate it to. This is who I go to about this thing. That's great to hear. And for you, Rob, as the head coach of the business, like the overarching head coach of the business, the person that's responsible for the class quality, and also the COO, the person that looks at all of the daily operations. I'd love to hear a little bit about your perspective now that we've gone in and created your dashboard and your documentation, about what it was like for you before as a COO and what it's like for you now that you've created some visibility. What difference do you see these systems making in your business?
Yeah. So kind of along the point of what you were saying, when I was like first trying to move into a little bit of like ownership and those position roles before you guys, is kind of that piece of like all of the stuff was like up in my head. We didn't have a lot of documentation. It was hard for me to convey or hand over things. And then I felt like I was lacking the ability to like fully give everything that like I needed to give to someone for them to feel confident in the role that I would like, give them. So sometimes it felt difficult to convey all the things that were needed. And then with that being said, then I would end up stepping on the toes of my own people by just trying to make sure things were moving forwards. So moving forwards with you guys, getting into the documentation, starting to create those leadership roles, those pieces, it made it a little bit easier for me to now kind of like give people their focuses of like, hey, this is the things that I expect you to know, and these are the things that I expect myself to be helping you with, as well as just how just basically communicating the things that need to be communicated across. So like with the COO dashboard and the different documentations that you guys have given us, it has given a lot of visibility into, well, one, everyone kind of being able to work on their own areas, as well as it all being visible to everyone in like one single space. I felt like throughout the last years, it's been like a document scramble of like one person will work on one thing, another person will work on another thing. Sometimes they'll get combined, sometimes the documents will get split into multiple spaces. So I feel like there's a lot of things happening, but then there's a lot of just like toe stepping, a lot of work that would get done that then would not get used. And I think if I was to be doing something like that and like make a whole thing and then it not be used, it wouldn't feel good to me. And so with this aid, enabling coaches, enabling staff, enabling people to use their energy they have for the space and then actually be able to like adequately use it, I think is like really beneficial. And I think that like your guys' outlines to things allows for everyone to kind of bring things together into a single point. And then for people who are more managing, they can kind of oversee and then kind of dig in when they need to dig in. So obviously none of those are very specific examples, but the general idea is like, it's a lot easier to enable people to do roles that you would like them to do. You're able to kind of step away from those different roles and have a little bit more visibility into what the expectations are, as well as how to help them do that. So like even along the lines of like our sales team, like giving them the tools to feel confident in tackling any challenge that kind of comes along the way, difficult phone calls, or even just like understanding our policies, like from the start to the end. I think just that whole visibility just allows everyone to kind of sit back with a sense of comfort and control and like calm. Whereas before it was like, we knew we needed these things. I know I need this sale. I know we need people in the gym. We know our product. We know it's good, but how do we like bridge that communication? How do we make everything kind of click and fall into place? Mm-hmm. So without rambling any further, I think that that's kind of my whole shotgun approach into what you guys have given us and how I see it helping and how I see it kind of like moving forwards.
That's so awesome. Thank you for sharing. And for those of you listening, one of the things that Jimmy and I are really committed to for business owners is that we support you in a couple of different things. One is climbing the value ladder, making sure that you're actually spending your time in the business pulling the levers and having your attention on what you need to have your attention on to grow the business. You can't do that if you are constantly putting out fires, acting as the front desk, acting as the sales team, acting as the coach, covering all of these little missing gaps that your systems and your documentation should be. Once we've implemented those documents in that system and those systems, you can see, oh, I've actually won back a lot of my time, and I can effectively delegate to my staff, and the expectations are clear. Now that I have this time, I can reinvest it back into my business. Now I, as Autumn, can act as the sales director. Now I, as Rob, can act as the COO instead of running around and putting out those fires. And the other key piece that I just love hearing, and this was a personal commitment that I have in the company, and I know Jimmy shares this too, and that's just to create more peace of mind with a business owner. We want you to love coming into your gym and into your business. Pretty much everybody that owns a parkour gym is someone that saw the difference that parkour can make for their lives and for their communities. And so for me to go into a business and see someone that is burnt out, overwhelmed, struggling, putting out fires, doing everything, that's painful for me. I want you to have peace of mind and clarity and excitement and passion and joy around your business. And so I'm just really glad that we're getting to that point.
Okay, so that was the whole systems documentation, getting it all aligned so we're on the same page, we know what to work on. Another of the 3 buckets we did was the whole marketing bucket, and that's going to connect to sales after this. In the marketing bucket, I want to know what you guys were doing to bring people into the gym, to attract leads, to get the word out. What were you doing before working with us? What worked? What didn't work?
For marketing, I was heavily leaning into Google Ads, which for a long time was great for us. However, I had noticed a drop off, and I don't know if that's just a change of how the platforms themselves operate and algorithms and all that. So I did want to lean into Facebook more. I had done some Facebook ads, but I wasn't getting quite the results that I wanted. So being able to work with you, Jimmy, and really flesh them out has been beneficial. It was almost immediately. I think the turnaround on the Facebook ads has been faster than the Google ads even, and more effective. So because I noticed I was limited as far as what information I could put into the Google side, Facebook seems to have a lot more flexibility as far as visuals and things like that. So, but yeah, the work, it didn't take long either. It was just a real clean, let's look through it, let's audit it, get it out there and see what results we get. And it was fast turnaround. So yeah, I think it's already paying in dividends as far as the people coming in and finding us that. And we're getting a lot more followers too, just off of our Facebook ads. So that's pretty cool to see.
Nice. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. That's very cool. Yeah. So what we did for these guys is we started by making you a video so that we can visually show what parkour is. We all know that parkour is way easier to show than it is to tell. Yes. So got you a video kind of designed in a really specific way. Starts by calling out your actual target audience, which in our case are parents in Denver, because they have the kids. They're the ones who come in, and it's really the base of our membership layer here. So the video calls them out, shows them very quickly, this is what parkour looks like. These are our coaches working with your kids. Here's the benefit. Here's the call to action. So it was that video paired with the copywriting was also very specific and matched the video really well. So it starts with hey, parents in Denver, are your kids XYZ? Here's your pain point. Here's the solution. This is us. Call to action, right? So it's easy to say, and it's not that much art to it. It's actually a lot of science to it. It's just make it in this order, do it in this way, target your target audience this way. We narrow our radius of our targeting down to just 10-ish miles around your gym, and there's not that much more to it. But if you can nail the video, you can nail the copy, you can set up the targeting well. We did do it over Meta, so Facebook and Instagram. That way we can get in front of people and interrupt them and say, hey, there's a parkour gym here, instead of on Google where you're sitting back waiting for people to search you. Yeah. So we can just kind of have a higher velocity and reaching people and showing them this is us, click on the thing. And so from there, when someone clicks on your ad or they go to your website, the website is the next thing that we're going to really dial in. So your landing pages have a maximized click-through rate. So that's coming soon with us. But all of our leads now are going into your guys' CRM. And we helped you optimize the CRM, get each of those lead stages set up A CRM, by the way, is a customer relationship management software. And that is where your sales team, and we'll get to you soon, Mr. Damien, the sales team can actually be in that software, call, text, email people, know exactly how many times we have called, texted, emailed them. We can do it all straight from the computer or from the phone app if you like. So no one needs we don't need the employees to be dialing through their personal phone number, right? But we can keep track of those conversations. Anytime someone activates, raises their hand, says, yes, I want to book a trial class. Now there's a whole system in place for that. And so you're saying that the marketing that we launched started generating leads pretty quick. Now we have a whole system on actually contacting those leads and getting them in, and we'll talk about that in a second. So with all this in play, how do you guys, both of you, feel about your ability to have your hand on that lever and control how many leads you're getting? Do you feel like you have clarity there? What's that feel like?
Yeah, I wanted to add to that. I was like, ooh. So the way that you had showed us how to do the marketing, Rob and I were very interested in also growing our adult program. That's something that we're very passionate about. And so I can take the information and duplicate that and make it so it fits that population so we can reach out to that demographic. And I'm really excited to when we can start being all right, cool, this is doing awesome. Great, let's start going into this category. Oh, this is taken off. All right, let's go do this. So that'll be really cool to just do the extra work there.
Glad to hear it. Okay, so you guys, I would assert you're at stage 2 in our stages of business framework. Stage 1 is where you kind of have an idea of what you're selling, but you don't quite know who your target audience is. If you're a parkour gym in this stage, you don't know if you're trying to sell to adults or kids or anyone who walks in the front door. You may not even have marketing that's actually targeting anyone. But in your guys' case, you have a pretty clear idea of that. Kids memberships is the bread and butter, and then on top of that, it's great to have adults in. You're doing parkour. It's not like a 9 sports in one facility. You have some other contractors, but they're a different business. So you guys are focused. You have your priority of parkour. So with that, you're not in stage 1, you're in stage 2, where now you just needed the experience of having unlimited leads so that you can really just pack your classes as much as you want. And when you have that experience, unlimited leads, we have as many members as we want. That is the resolution of stage 2. And then stage 3 is okay, now we need the team, we need the systems. How do we really manage this and start optimizing for particulars? So in stage 2, we got the marketing set up. Now we got the sales set up. Damien, tell us a little bit about what sales was like here before we showed up and launched all those systems.
Can do, Jimmy. So for context, I'm Damien, aka Desky or Desk Guy. That was me before, but I'm now a newly trained sales expert. And I'm I can't tell you guys how much this has helped me. For context, the past few days we've had some very long, very helpful trainings. And between the trainings and my desk shift, I wasn't just chilling. I was calling and talking with my girlfriend, with my brother, with my other friends who are managing small businesses and being hey, this is insane. This is solving so many of the problems that I was having. So I've been so obsessed about this and it's been insanely helpful. So to get to what sales was before working with you guys and what sales looks like after working with you guys, before I wasn't, I could fake confidence, but and I kind of knew our product and I kind of knew how to care for a client, but I didn't have the confidence to close a sale. There were so many, I can't tell you guys how many times a client would come in, I'd be hey, do you want to buy this? And it was, looking back at it, it's really hard. And I'm I can't believe I was that unconfident. My concept of what we gave as a business was not nearly all the value that we give now with the context that you guys gave us, being mentors to their kids, everything we do to help them solve their children's problems in life as they go through high school, middle school, into college. How do you overcome difficulty? So anyways, all of that, could get into that more, but solving the client's problem, I didn't know how to explain that to them and help them to really see that value. So that's before the sales training. After the sales training, first day, I locked down 2 clients, one of which I had been texting for it'd been 2-3 months and hadn't been able to get them in and to get them to schedule for a class or lock down a membership. I was able to lock them down on a membership over the phone, day 1, right? And then right after that, we had someone come in and it was a pretty poor scenario with regards to okay, perfect, we have everything ready and the person's in at the right time. They just like popped in. They were only here for an open gym. They didn't really care about, like signing up for a membership. And now like there was, previous like shy little me like, hey, like, do you, maybe want to try and buy? I was able to walk up to them while they were sitting in the lobby and be like, hey, like, let me help you out. This is your first time in as the parent. The dad's been bringing them in, but this is the mom. And I walk them through like, hey, here's how to use our app. Oh, are you interested in memberships? Like, and I phrased it in a different way. That's not how you're supposed to phrase it. But I got them to look through our memberships, sign up for a membership, and then show them all the value that we're providing them as a parkour gym. And they like fell in love with the space. Like as they left, they were like, I was like saying goodbye to them. And she was like, he's going to be here for like a long time to come. I think parkour is going to be a lifelong sport for him. And I was just like, what? Like, I like couldn't believe it. As they were leaving previously, it was just like mom let the kid into the gym and he was just doing his thing. And she was just totally disconnected on the couch. And she like stood with me the whole time, asking questions after I really fully engaged her. And that never, like, I've been working here like for 2 years as a front desk guy. I've never been able to do that. And day one after finishing the training, I was able to do that. So that was probably a lot more of the question that you asked, but like, I can't say thank you guys enough for that. Like seriously, the training has changed my life.
That's awesome, man. Wow. So our mission is to teach 1 million people parkour. And not just teach them how to jump over a square, but teach them to like really fall in love with the sport. And so you just said that you created that impact with one person. You gave someone access to that yesterday after the sales training. And that is actually why I personally got so interested in marketing and then so interested in sales. And I said this during our training, because when those parents come in and they, like, if you don't have context on parkour, it's like kind of gnarly looking. Like there's like pipes and walls and things. It's not like all covered in foam. It's not the nice, safe gymnastics padded land. So when a parent comes in, they might be in a state of increased anxiety, uncertainty. This is a new space. You're a new person. They don't want their kid to like get hurt because they're used to just dropping them off at the trampoline park where there's not a coach who cares and they can totally get hurt. And what you got access to was working with that client, lowering their anxiety, creating the future for them. Like when your kid trains parkour here, parkour is hard. They're gonna try this wall climb, they're gonna try this rail balance, and it's hard. They're gonna fail. And our coaches are gonna keep them in it because it's fun. Our coaches can create that fun atmosphere for them. And eventually, Miss Parent standing before me, your kid will succeed. And that is when your kid will discover that they too are someone capable of accomplishing hard things. And you now have the skills to like create that in a moment and disappear that resistance that so many parents have that stand in the way of their kids getting access to learning from great coaches like Rob and great coaches like Zach and the other coaches we met here over this week. And that's why I got so interested in it, because you can attract them with the marketing and then get the parent out of the way and let this kid have access finally to probably their new favorite sport, which is what you just said. So seeing how jazzed up and excited you are at these keys, these tools that we gave you, unlocking the possibility for you to give that to so many more kids, like knowing that that's my mission, 1 million people, and Chris's mission, 1 million people learning parkour, and that you have access to that, that's the juice. That's like why we're here. So man, thank you so much. Okay, let's get a little bit tactical. What were the specific things that we learned during the sales? I'm just gonna run through it real quick, just some of the bullet points we did. And then I'd like to hear from the three of you, what were the pieces that stood out to you that you feel like will give you access to helping those clients get out of the way and letting their kids have access to parkour? So on the first day, we learned how to like really properly give a tour of the gym, not just like point stuff out, but create an image in the client's head of like, this is the future of parkour for you. Your kid's gonna be someone who can do hard things, and here's how we do it. After that, we learned something called the perfect first day procedure. And this is how specifically the coaches work hand in hand with the people behind the desk to bring the kid out to the class goes awesome, bring the kid back to the front desk so that they don't, escape out the front door before we have a chance to like actually make an impact. You guys now have a process for that. When you're in person, face to face with someone, we now know how to present a price presentation in a way that's I think, very straightforward and pretty easy to memorize. Gives them an opportunity to say yes or no. If they have any objections, and we covered the 4 main objections, if they have an objection about the price or the value, they have an objection about they need to talk to their spouse or their co-parent, they have an objection of their schedule is too hard, or they have an objection of they're playing other sports. We did talk about a secret 5th objection. And now you know exactly what to say if any of those come up, and not just like a 1-line rebuttal. Some of those had like 3 or 4 stages of like, if this, then this, if this, then this, and then you can get the sale. And then on the second day, we talked about, okay, well, how do we sit behind the computer, take those leads we're getting from marketing, what specifically do we say, how do we say it, how often do we say it, and what happens when there is a response, when there's not a response, so that you can get bookings. When someone actually picks up the phone, what specifically do you say? And that's how you got that person to sell a membership over the phone, because you knew exactly what to say in a way that worked for them. We also talked about some meta skills that are layered on top of that, like assumptive sales language. And you said this earlier in the podcast when you were like, that's not really how I would do it. It's not how you're supposed to do it. Yeah, we talked about a way to phrase questions so that we lessen the person's anxiety in front of us and guide them to the watering hole of, yes, you actually do want to do parkour. Which membership would you like to buy? Instead of, did you like this? Do you want to maybe have a membership? Now we have these strong questions that create confidence and context and guide them to the hell yeah, I want to do parkour. That's what we did over that took us 2 full days and then 1 day of review, practice, mocking, and then us doing it live and me kind of floating around, making sure things worked out. That's what we did. Now let me see from you guys, like what really stood out.
And actually, before I pass it over, in between those 3 days as well, I was working with Autumn, Rob, and the general manager and head coach of this space as well to create some systems to ensure that what we're putting into place is actually managed, delegated, and then momentum is maintained throughout the rest of the quarter. You have a 13-week visibility now with a declaration of what's going to happen in this quarter. You know where your registrations are going to be coming from, and you're declaring what's going to happen. And the other really important thing about all of this that we did before we even came in is we got who was who in the game. You know, if you're playing a game of chess, you have to know how the queen moves across the board. You have to know how the rook moves. And so for you to identify yourselves in the game was super important. So that way, when we came in and delivered these 3 days of training, you had everything you needed to just press start on the button.
The first thing that comes to mind for me, honestly, with all of the objection training is that gave our sales team the ability to work through that. So the thing that comes to mind for me is Ukemi. I was like, oh yeah, this is like word Ukemi, right? Like yes. if you're trying to make it from this point to this point and it's scary, then if you train your falls, your bails, you know what to do in case it doesn't go the way you want, then you know you can get out of that. So that's kind of what I was looking at objection training is like Ukemi. But yeah, so that give our team the ability to confidence, as Damien was stating, how it was before he didn't feel real confident, and now he has all of that in his pocket. He feels empowered and he knows exactly what to do. And it's simple. Like, I think we were overthinking it, in all honesty, like how we were supposed to be doing our sales, how we're supposed to be talking to people. It was actually minimized and simple, easy to execute. Yeah.
So previously to the sales training, it felt a lot like when we would have someone come up to the front desk or we're trying to convey the product, we understood the product, but we didn't really have much of a sense of how to give opportunities for the person to just accept or present a question that we might be already trying to answer. Meaning, like, I felt previously that we would just shoot all of our shots. We'd explain all the things that we thought were great about parkour, pretty much overwhelm the client, or they would just kind of like shut off and not be listening to everything. And then we'd have to re-explain certain pieces just because we would create this like word soup approach. After the training, it felt a lot like we were given these opportunities to know and be certain, like, hey, this is a spot where I can stop, listen to the client, and not just have my just constant like barrage of this is why it's great, this is why it's good, and kind of overwhelm the person. And kind of onto the point of what Jimmy was saying, client already comes in with a bit of anxiety. So learning that from the side of the sales, where we're trying to diffuse that anxiety and allow pausing moments and give opportunities for us to maybe not even use everything that we have as like an ammunition to like, oh yeah, like our coaches are great. We do risk assessment. We do all these different pieces. Maybe we don't just shotgun all those things all at once, and we let those things kind of be something that's a little bit more discoverable, or we present them with later on. So I feel like generally we're given the tools to not shoot all the shots, sit back, listen to the client, actually try to engage with whatever objection they had and not glaze over it and then just add more.
Yeah. So like, how many of the secrets are you guys asking me to give away here? So without getting into this, okay, that's insane. You guys better listen. So like, seriously, one of the things that I didn't understand how to do in every conversation that really brought me to that next level was understanding how to empathize, to repeat back what I heard from someone else a little bit different, to make sure that they are heard and not just dismissed. And then having that authority and the audacity sometimes to be like, hey, I hear that, we're doing this, let's do this, let's solve this problem. And then the thing that like I never, like probably never did and would not have known how to do it well or do it at all until you guys brought it up was then asking for the sale. That was what I was most afraid of, like every single time. Let's say I did listen to them, I maybe sort of solved their problem before, I wouldn't ask for the sale. And then everyone would be like, oh, cool, let me go talk to my spouse or go leave and I'll see you guys, next time. And they say next week or the next day and they're gone. Like, I can't remember the statistic that you guys said, but it blew my mind that like, wow, every single one of those, how many was it? 40% of people that leave your business, like walk out the door without signing up or like getting that sale, that they're going to just be gone forever. So that was something that I really wanted to start preventing and working against to help our business succeed. So understanding how to empathize, how to speak with authority and how to ask for that sale, that asking for the sale is now something that I'm both equipped to know how to do it, know when to do it. And now I've been doing it and I did it yesterday. And so I feel extremely confident going forwards. So that was probably one of the biggest things that also I have been doing with family members and roommates. Again, in the past few days, I'm like, wow, this works with everyone. This is just a life skill to have. Maybe not asking for the sale, but like, here's the call to action. Like, here's this problem you presented to me. Like, here, you're heard, sweet, like, here's a solution. And like, what are we gonna do about it? Like, that wasn't like a decision matrix that I had before that I now have. So thank you guys so much for that.
Yeah, and you can hear the difference that this has made in your peace of mind. And you brought up that 40%, like if they walk out the door, 40% chance that we're never ever going to see them again. And we've actually determined with our perfect first day procedure, you do all your marketing right, you do all of your lead contacting right, you get them in the door, you deliver a great class. And then that perfect first day procedure, that handoff doesn't happen. There's actually a 60% chance that sale isn't made just from that one piece. So there's a lot of ways to do this wrong, but it's very simple to do it right. And so I'm glad that we had the time to implement those systems with you, implement those procedures with your coaches, with your head coach, with your general manager, with your sales team, identifying you as the sales director, identifying you as the COO, and then all of the ways that these roles interact with each other makes this perfect cake.
Okay, so to fully cover the costs that you guys paid us for this whole package, you guys would need to, on your current pricing, increase your member count by 7 members and hold them for a year. With your new sales training and with your new marketing, just like head nods, does that feel like pretty accomplishable?
Easy. I did 2 yesterday. Give me 2 weeks or 1 week.
Yeah, and you even heard that woman say, like, I think my kid's going to be, like, this is a lifelong thing. And that's it. That's the LEG. You have that person's probably going to be a coach for you someday.
And onto the point of like feeling like we already had an idea of what we were doing. We already had a good product. We already understood what we were doing. And I think that was a part of what I was afraid of with reaching out for help, was feeling like our product was going to change, or feeling like there was something wrong with what we were doing. And what it kind of felt like when it was all tied together was this essentially just like tying these pieces together, having these structures put in place, and then allowing us to properly present what we've already created here. So I want to thank you guys for facilitating that element, as well as not making us feel as though our product was something that needed to change, or something that what we had been doing this whole time needed to change, or something needed to like derail and completely do something different. So I want to say thank you guys to that. And thank you for giving us the confidence to have our sales team feel as empowered as they do, as well as like our head coaches and everyone just kind of coming together. It's appreciated.
Yeah, that's thank you. Like from a personal standpoint, Apex was actually the first gym that I ever trained in as a teenager. This space and this community largely formulated me as an athlete. So to come back and to contribute to you in this way means so much to me. And as a mentor, I'm so glad that you feel exactly what you just shared, because we don't look for what's wrong. You know, we look for what's missing. That if it were present, if we just rewind a little bit and we pop that in there, it makes all the difference moving forward. And yeah, there was nothing wrong with your business, and there is nothing wrong with your business. There were just some key pieces missing that, when present, now makes everything that was working work so much better. Now you actually have your hands around the levers to grow both your community and your culture. Like, you really can crank it any direction that you want. I'm super happy for you guys.
Yeah, that's why I like having that distinction of which stage of business are you in? Because if we can just identify, oh, this is what's missing, we just need reliable sales and marketing so that they have access to the thing you're already crushing. The gym's fun, you got great coaches, the vibe in the community here was all sweet. We just wanted to give that to more people and show you guys how. All right, the last two things I want to touch on are, one, Autumn, you said something really impactful to us when we were talking at the end of the last day, yesterday, along the lines of that you feel like you can love your business again. Will you give us more context on that?
Where do I start with this one? So I do have a very corporate background. This isn't my first business. I love business at its core. So long story short, I was going through a lot of medical difficulty with my children as well as myself in like a very short period of time. Both my children were diagnosed with chronic illnesses. Was going through cancer, all these different things. A corporate job that I absolutely loved. I had poured 9 years into building, and they decided to sell. They brought in all new people, like overseas. This was like when the overseas work was really controversial, and they let go of everybody. So, and I was an easy one because I was constantly out with medical stuff. And at that moment, I was like, never again am I going to work for someone else. I'm going to work for myself moving forward. So when my children finally were healthy enough, we heard about actually a coworker of mine, ironically, from this business that I helped grow in Denver. He's like, yeah, you should totally check out free running at this place called Apex Denver. And I'm like, can't you just run outside freely? Like, I don't get it. Like, why do I need to go to a gym to learn to go outside and run around for free? Anyway, so I did that. Let me fast forward. I fell in love with parkour, and I was like, yes, this is it for me. Like, I had this desk job for a really long time. I was super overweight, like 40 pounds. And yeah, like this was the only fitness that I had stuck with. And it was just so powerful to me that when I was going through my cancer treatment, I was like, yeah, if I make it to the other side of this is something I'm going to pursue. And here we are. Apex Denver. I had actually looked at opening a whole different location, but this was like a 3-year period. I was working with Ryan Ford and Amos, talking about kind of like plans and what direction they wanted to go. And so eventually I had found out that they weren't sure if they wanted to continue to work at this location or whatever. Anyhow, so I was like, no, this is like my home gym. Like, we can't let anything happen here. So came in, met with Rob, and we decided to like jump into this together. And I was like, this is it. I've got to share this with people because it changed my life. Like this was the only thing that I had found where I had lost 40 pounds. I was pre-diabetic, high blood pressure, And my kids are both in love with the space as well. And that's huge for me. So did I answer the question? Anything else am I missing?
So it sounded like from yesterday there was a moment where that passion, that love maybe lulled or stress
yes.
or something.
So let me bring that in. So when I finally was healthy enough, I was getting in really good shape right before COVID, like 2018. I was at like my peak. I promised myself I would never allow enough stress in my life to affect my health, because if anything happens to me, I'm not there for my kids or anyone else. I can't make a difference. So it had occurred to me this year, I'm like gaining weight again. I'm having like chronic injury issues. I'm in a lot of pain and I'm just exhausted all the time. So it was just time to do something different. It's like the saying, insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. You're not going to get there. So that's why I called you guys. And I was like, I'm tired of this. I need to get back to what I love, because I'm hating it. I'm hating it.
Yeah. And why did this bring you back to loving it?
It gave me a lot of hope. I was tired. I mean, frankly, yeah, I was just feeling really beat up from our day-to-day struggles. And it's like we would have these peaks of like, yeah, awesome, great, this is working. And then it would just like plummet again. And I was like, what are we missing? We're missing something here. And I'm not a quitter, I'll be honest. Like I know where to draw the line, that's healthy, but I was like, there's something that's just missing. And I want to get back into what I love. I still like to train. I still want to share this with people because it's made such an impact on my life. So yeah, I have hope again. Like I was jumping around a bit last night, and I was like, yes, this means I can actually carve out time to train again and do what I love, maybe participate in more community events and things without absolute exhaustion, stress, like what's going to happen next week. It's like I have a weight's been lifted ultimately. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. My last question for the three of you is, would you recommend this to a different gym owner or up to a different gym owner, like from your sales perspective, Damien, and why?
100% I would. I will admit that I was one of those people that was just watching for a really long time. I looked at other mentorship programs like right around when the pandemic started. I will admit I had to push aside my own pride because I do have a lot of experience in business. And I was like, I can't pull it together. I don't know what else to do. But then I remembered, ironically, that for some of my other businesses, I had hired mentors. My spouse, he just went through a mentorship. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, it's just an easy answer. So I reached out to Chris, got some information just to see, because I was like, stick my toe in, just see what happens. And then as I had mentioned to you earlier, it's like, if you see somebody is where you want to be at in your business, don't ask just Joe Schmo off the street, for advice. Like, actually talk to and communicate with the people who are where you want to be. So, and that's what I wanted. So, yeah.
And speaking to the reaching out to me earlier and getting some advice, Jimmy and I have a commitment to share everything. Like there's literally nothing that we have that's behind like a paywall. That's why when you were like, hey, what secrets can I share? We're like, all of them, because we want you to try to implement, and we want you to try to make that difference. We want you to run with the information that we have on our blogs and in our Discord and in our podcast. We want you to run with it. And boy, there's so much nuance to implementing this effectively. And it's actually so easy to take a piece of information, think you know what the answer is, and then actually the way that you have it work is a detriment to your business. So you try to make a price change increase, or you try to make a policy change with your coaches, and suddenly your customers are pissed off, you're losing customers, your staff are upset, and I'm not speaking about you specifically, I'm speaking about the experience that I've come across with other gym owners who try to get to the next stage completely on their own. So thank you for pointing that out. And I love that you reached out to me. And I told Autumn, I said, my goal with you if we work together is to have you fall in love with your business again.
I remember that.
And there was a period at the end of that sentence, and whatever that takes. And usually it takes systems, documentation, and a little bit of elbow grease in the right direction?
I would say that from a prideful standpoint, I'm not proud of how I felt about this, but I'm going to communicate because I think it will help other people. When I first saw movement mentors and stuff, I was pretty irritated. I don't know. I don't know what it is about the thing on the other side of the fence or I was just like, I hated it. I was so irritated with you guys. Everything I would see come up online was just like, I was just like, all right, I'm going to listen to some of this. And then I was just like, it just like irritated me. And so I feel like I created this sense of like pride. And again, onto the side of like mentorship and trying to actually reach out. And any other business, like Autumn was saying, for her sides, mentorship isn't like a irregular thing. And I do feel like that is a bit of a taboo thing in parkour. And then especially like younger spaces, like I'd say parkour is a young space, skateboarding, rock climbing, all these different industries. And so each of these industries kind of have these like, everyone stands on their own hills. And so I think that for the greater community to come together, it's important that we respect and see and look at the things that we want to see in our own communities and start to try to build those bridges to create the community that we do want. That's like the greater community. And so stepping out of my comfort zone, asking for help, working with Autumn to take ourselves out of that space is very scary. Still to this day, I still feel scared on just other people's judgments. But at the end of the day, I'm like very grateful for what you guys have brought for us.
So in the shortest amount of words, an easy hell yeah, like definitely. Like would do this again, would recommend this. There was another gym owner who came in last night and I was already trying. He was like, oh, I heard you guys were like doing this. Like how did the training go? And I was like, all right, sweet. I could pitch him on this. Cause like I want, dude, the parkour community, the amount of like I have so many people who've worked for gyms or have been adjacent to gym owners or just everyone. And there's a lot of complaints in the community. And like, I cannot tell you guys how many of those complaints would like go away and disappear and people would actually be excited about working for a gym or being in the gym community if people actually like listened and implemented what you guys were talking about. Also not just in parkour, but like in general, again, like a lot of these things, I'm like, wow, these were life skills that I wish I had forever ago. Like last year I did a mentorship for my own like side business thing, art related. And didn't only learn like technical skills, did not learn any of what you guys were talking about. And so like, if I had this like back then, I would easily switch out these mentorships, even though, right, wouldn't have given me like the technical aspect of like, here's how you do an illustration or like all this other stuff, or like, here's how you do this graphic design thing. It would have given me the ability to communicate the value that I have to my clients. And that is, again, you got to spend money to make money. So like, it's only going to take 7 clients. I sold 2 yesterday, like 5 more. I could do that in a week. Like that is the easiest hell yeah, like I've ever had. Like seriously. So 100% already pitched someone on it last night. So, and if this isn't convincing, then I think you guys should be rethinking some stuff because I'm so excited. Like seriously, sorry, that was a little loud. I want to run like an event this Friday to train our teams. Like the sooner we get this stuff going, the sooner we're making more money and the sooner everyone is happy and excited. And like, I cannot say thank you enough to you guys. Yeah, I'm going to stop rambling at this point. Just like, seriously, thank you.
Thank you, Damien. All right. Well, man, Rob, I loved your comment that it irritated you. And I get it. Yeah. Damien, I'm glad that you're left feeling like now you want to train the team. That's very cool for me to hear. And I like your point, Autumn, of like, there's a lot of information out there and you just need like some of it. You know, you got to know what to act on at the right time.
And how to act on it.
Yeah, there's a lot of nuance to it. So yeah, like what Chris said, everything we know, we publish. It is somewhere. It's either on our blog for free. It's on our podcast somewhere. My entire like sales marketing methodology, a lot of Chris's like, here's how you do documentation, team leadership, culture, like a lot of that is in our book, $1 Million Parkour Gym. And that's only $29. Like, and it's going to be on audio soon also for free. Cool. So it's all right there. Go ahead and do it. Browse our blog. And when and if you feel like you need some help, like we did with you, Autumn, like we're open to it. Book a call with us. We'll give you what we think you need to do. That was a free conversation between the two of you guys.
Yeah, I was not expecting.
Yeah, didn't expect it. And it's all right there for free. The reason why we do that, there's 2 main reasons. One is because we want everyone listening to take the information that we are already putting out there and implement it so that that free information earns you enough money So then if you come back, anything that you want us to show up and help you directly implement, the stuff you've already done is going to pay for that next level. So I want the whole experience to feel cash flow free for everyone, right? Okay, I think that was my main point wrapped up. So from here, guys, go to our blog, get the book, do whatever you got to do. You guys, I'm so glad that we had an impact with you. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys grow, seeing you guys hit that easy 7 number minimum and way beyond. I'm excited to keep checking in with you guys. And that's it. Any last things anyone else wants to say here?
Thank you guys.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay. I'm Jimmy Davidson from Motion Mentors.
I'm Christopher Hollingsworth from Motion Mentors.
And if you are a parkour business owner, and in this case, if you're a parkour gym owner, head to motionmentors.org, check out our free resources. And when you're ready for it, book a call and we'll help you out for free. All right, guys, thank you so much.